What's up, everybody? It's me, Brando. Thank you so much for joining us today on this. I don't know what this video is supposed to be. This is not the video we're supposed to be putting out this week, I'll tell you that. But that video is going to be coming out next week. It's turning into being a lot bigger of a project than I thought, because there's a lot of information, there's a lot of editing involved in it. The next video is all going to be about pirates, and I am so excited. I've been learning so much, but again, that's going to be next week, so stay tuned for that. I just kind of wanted to get on camera, hang out with you guys, see what's going on, see how your week's been going, you know, sound off down below. I love hearing from you guys. Also, if you ever have any ideas for future videos, definitely let me know. And but yeah, today it's Sunday. It was leg day at the gym, and your boy's a little sore today, so I'm not gonna be moving around as much. But I went out for a walk after, and I was just kind of thinking, like, I cannot believe it's been a month since we started this channel. Thank you to everybody who watches the videos. Thank you for anybody who has liked, subscribed, left a comment. It means everything to me. And I can't wait to keep doing this, and hopefully doing this full time, which would be fantastic. I was just out for a walk, like I said, and I was just thinking of like all the different videos that I want to put out and all the different topics we want to be jumping into. I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. I think it's leg day. It's getting to me. Today's video is all going to be around your first job. I imagine a bunch of you, especially with spring coming and, you know, school coming to an end, you might be starting to apply and you might be getting into what could be your very first job. So I kind of wanted to jump on, talk about my work experience, and, you know, some do's and don'ts, to hopefully help you guys out when you're, you know, setting on that path and getting going. And I'm sounding like a dad right now. Okay. Oh, actually, one thing I did want to talk about. So this is not sponsored, but I'm sure many of you have seen Feastables, Mr. Beast. Sponsor me if you want, but hey, I bought this as an impulse buy. Also, I already ate it, but he claims, so okay. I am obsessed with Hershey's cookies and cream. I'm not a sweet guy. I don't like candy, chocolates, that kind of stuff, but every now and then we get a craving, right? You know what I'm talking about. So I was at the grocery store yesterday and I saw this, and I only bought one, and I wish I bought the whole damn box because they're good. I didn't think they were okay, I shouldn't say that. I didn't know what to expect, right? You know, you have all these YouTuber brands that come out and you want them so badly to be really good, and sometimes they're not, but hey, Mr. Beast, you definitely have a hit on your hands with this, because I'm just gonna say it, I would reach for this before some of the other chocolate bars that I go for. But anyways, I'm not doing any more free advertisement for that. Check it out for yourself. Okay, let's dive into the video. So I have my notes on my phone that I kind of wanted to go through. We're gonna get rid of the music because we don't want to be copyrighted, so hopefully that didn't play through. But okay, so my first job when I started, so I was, what was I? 15. I was 15. And so I'm from Mississauga in Canada, Ontario. I guess that's how you say that, you know? Wow, this is a business channel and I can't even say anything properly. I don't, guys, it's Sunday. It's Sunday brain. Let's rewind. So my first job, I was 15 years old and I was living with my father in the Square One area, which is in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, shout out. And it kind of happened by mistake, okay? We gotta get comfy, because like we're telling stories. So growing up, when I moved in with my father when I was 12, he gave me an allowance, and I was brand new into the big city. I came from living up north for a year, and I didn't have friends. I found it really hard to kind of make connections with people. I felt very much like an outcast when I was in grade 8. I was making friendships and connections and relationships, but I was also dealing with a lot of things. So it wasn't, I'm sorry to anybody who was friends with me in grade 8. I was a nice person, but I was very, very closed off and shy, and I was very uncomfortable around people. I felt the most comfort at home, watching TV, doing my own thing, and going to the mall. I lived right across the street from Square One, and I just like to, you know, get home from school, go to the mall, window shop. My grandmother and I, used to do that a lot, and it was just something that I enjoyed doing. And again, I had an allowance, which was fantastic. So I would just shop, and I kind of got a little bit of an addiction with shopping, which I still have today, but whatever, we're not here to talk about that. That's another video. But oh God, it's gonna be literally called like my shopping addiction, and like just like an expense report of all the stuff I've bought. And it's all funny saying that, because I know my friends watching this are just gonna be like, yeah, you do have a problem. Okay, I know, quiet. I really wanted a pair of boots, okay? And I know how that sounds. They were everything, okay? They were from Guess. If you know Guess, you know, if you don't, I can't help you with that. But a great brand, I really liked them. They were kind of like a Jack Sparrow type of boot, if you get the vibe. They were like high, they were like a boot thing. Obviously they're boots. And I really wanted them. However, they were $600. And as I'm sure many of you, imagine going to your parents and saying like, hey, at 15, can I have $600 boots? The fuck you can. And that's nicely how that conversation went with my father. Basically, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a job myself and I'm gonna buy them. So I did. I had no idea what I was doing. All I know is I needed $600 to buy these boots, and I was gonna do anything possible. At the time, I had no experience. I had nothing. So I put a resume together. I did have like volunteer work through school and stuff like that, but I didn't really have anything. And even nowadays, it's even harder to get a first job. These guys want you to have a university degree to work at McDonald's. It's insane. But I walked into the mall and I had a stack of like maybe 30 resumes printed. And this is a great tip for you guys. Stop going online to apply for a job, because at that point you were literally just a number. They can't put a face to you, and they're literally just going based on what they read. So if they get 100 resumes, they're gonna read through them all, you hope, and they're gonna select the best candidates based on what they read. I don't believe in that approach. Every single job that I ever got in retail, and it's a lot, we'll get into it, it's because I went and I made a connection. Back to the first video, people buy people, right? Human connection is everything. So printed the resumes, I would walk into the retail store very politely and I would ask, also I'm dressed really nicely. Sometimes I would dress in the style of the store. So for example, like West 49, right? If I wanted to get a job there, never did, but just an example, I would dress skater. So that way I fit the brand of what they're trying to sell. Just a little tip. So I would dress the part, I would ask to speak to the store manager. Typically store managers will work Mondays, like they basically work throughout the week. Never try and talk to a retail store manager on a Saturday. You're never gonna get their attention. They are too busy for that. The best time to get them is like maybe a Monday after school, Tuesday throughout the day, something like that where the store is dead and you can actually have a conversation with them. And so I would go, I would say, hey, my name's Brandon. I'm looking for a part-time job. I'd really like to live here. I mean, it felt like it at times, but I would really like to work here. I'd hand them my resume. 9 times out of 10, the manager would take the time, open up my resume, start reading it, and ask me questions there. This allowed me the opportunity to kind of show what I'm all about and my personality and how well it'll kind of gel with the store. I can't think of a time that I didn't do that and I didn't leave the mall with a job. I'm not just hitting 2 or 3 stores. I was hitting like 20 stores doing that. Go by yourself, do not go with your friends, because as a store manager myself back in the day, if I saw people coming into the store applying for jobs and then they went outside and then met with a group of their friends and continued, I immediately didn't hire them. Because if you cannot go to the mall by yourself and apply for a job by yourself and show that independence, I don't want you working in my store if you can't do that. So just a little tip with that, be cautious of that. I trust me, I know with nerves and stuff like that, you want your friends there as kind of like that security blanket, but you gotta cut the cord and you gotta just do it yourself, okay? Trust me on that. Anyways, go in, meet with the store manager, send your resume, give them your resume, and you would be surprised what happens, and keep doing that. But anyways, I'm blabbering. So the first store that actually hired me was Blue Notes at Square One. Just like a teenage clothing store. I was just part-time sales, just folding clothes, stuff like that. And when I was there, I started to understand how a retail store operates. You know, you have your sales associates, you have your team leads, which are in management, you have then your assistant manager, your store manager, then you have your district manager, which kind of will look after maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe a few more different locations, and so on and so forth. Now, in a typical fashion in retail, if you are a part-time student, you're probably only going to get anywhere from maybe 8 hours to maybe 15 hours a week. Now for a student, that's pretty good because you're juggling school, you're juggling a few other things. But I had a little bit more time on my hands. I wanted a little bit more. I started making friends with management. I tried as hard as I could to get into that inner circle. How I did that? Working really hard, willing to pick up shifts whenever I could. If I knew my manager was working with me and had a long day and I was going on break and I knew I was going to Timmy's to get a coffee, I'd offer him or her a coffee. Little tiny things like that, because when it comes time for them to be like, we need more people in the store, or we need certain people to work longer hours or give people more hours, I wanted them to think of me because I wanted more hours, which obviously was more money in my pocket. Fast forwarding, I did that for a few years and I worked for different retailers in between some of these that I'm going to be bringing up. I got bounced around from retail a lot because I got really good at sales, and at Square One at least, you would have scouts. So other district managers, other store managers would go into stores and just kind of get a feel of the sales associates, and if they had a really good sales associate they like, I got approached by quite a few different managers to be like, hey, I really like you. Why don't you come work at my store? I'll pay you a little bit more. Now, I'm a teenager. I'm committed to the money. So if you're gonna give me X number of hours, more hours than I'm getting now, plus more pay, obviously I'm gonna do that. So I did bounce around a little bit. So working at Blue Notes, everything was good. And I actually then started working. All of these are gonna be Square One, by the way. I started working at Bench. Now, the reason I got the job at Bench was the district manager at Blue Notes and my store manager at Blue Notes were leaving that company to go to Bench. And they brought their best salespeople with them, myself included, which was phenomenal. Loved Bench to this day. I love the brand. Great clothing line. I believe they started in the UK. I don't think they have retail stores here anymore. I think it's just like an online thing. But so I worked at Bench. Bench was fantastic. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. I gelled well with the staff. A friend of mine worked around the corner at another store called Zoomies. So when the stores would close, we would actually like blast music. Security and everyone was fine with it, but you could hear each other's music. We would go out for breaks together, and like I started just making friends within the mall, which was fantastic. After work, you know, we would go to the Starbucks across the street, or we'd go to the movies, or once we became 19, we'd go for a drink after work and stuff like that. So it really just, it was the best. It really was. I would recommend anybody looking for a first-time job, go into retail. Don't do fast food. You're gonna hate your life. People are so mean to fast food workers. I mean, they're not much better with retail, but just go to retail, go to clothing. You'll thank me later. So anyways, as I mentioned in my other video, eventually I just got bored of retail. It was the same thing day in and day out, and I'm a person that's very hard on myself. I always wanted to be ahead of the curve. I always wanted to challenge myself. I struggled in school growing up. I knew I wasn't the smartest cookie in the bunch, and I knew I needed to do something to kind of put myself on top and be proud of the work that I do. So I ultimately started applying to marketing companies with no degree. I had no business doing that. And I ended up landing a job with a marketing firm downtown Toronto, doing door-to-door sales. And at first I was a little like, I don't really want to do door-to-door sales. Like, that's so awkward. But boy, was I wrong. The best time I've ever had. Basically, it started out just door-to-door residentials. So residential houses. So basically what we were doing is we were selling a product for Bell Canada. So Bell had just implemented their fiber optic internet here in Ontario in specific regions. So what we would do is go to those regions, knock on people's doors. We had a stellar sales pitch that always worked. And I was raking in the coin. Like, I was making a lot of money. It was stupid. Because I got so good at that, again, I made connections with my manager. I'm always humble. I'm always asking what more can I do, right? And also taking initiative and just going above and beyond all the time. It was grueling hours. You're doing 12-hour days. Doesn't matter if it's snowing, raining, how cold it is. There was times that it would get so cold that I would literally put plastic bags over my socks and put my shoes on to insulate my feet because we had to keep going so much. I chose to do that because I wanted to do what nobody else was prepared to do. And because of that, I was always on top on sales. At a young age, I was 19 at the time, guys. So I got really good with that, and there was an incentive for me to be able to go to New York. If you remember, I think it was in the mob video, I posted a picture of me on top of my hotel in New York. That was that trip. So they took me there because, again, they wanted to showcase, you know, the best salespeople. The thing with that marketing firm in door-to-door is it's 100% commission, meaning you don't get an hourly pay, you don't get a salary. Whatever you sell, you get a portion, a percentage of that sale. So you really have to hustle. So I got really good at it. You know, I was bringing in probably about $3,000 a week, some weeks on a really good week. I would say more realistically, I would say maybe about 1,800, 2,000 weekly, which was fantastic at 19. Picture that, guys. You're 19, you're making that kind of coin. Mind you, this was like 12 years ago. But still, fantastic. Did I save any of it? No, I didn't. And I should have. And, you know, learn from me, save. But anyways, so doing the door-to-door thing was really, really fun. Got good at that. They took me to New York. I got to speak in front of so many different people. It was very nerve-wracking, but I just got to kind of share how I do what I do. And honestly, to this day, I don't know. My manager, this was kind of heartbreaking at the time, she quit. She went to do something better for her, which is fine. I was so mad that she left. But because of how well I was doing, the CEO at the time put me in charge of the team and switched us from a residential model and moved us to business. Now, business to business is a different beast. Basically, what I was doing was still door to door, but I was doing it with businesses. So my territory was downtown Toronto. So like Yonge Street, Queen Street, King Street, College, Bloor, all of that. And same product, but basically I had to go in and get a business owner's attention and make him or her stop everything that they are doing with their day-to-day to listen to me and buy the product. There was no, oh, come back later, because I was here today and today only. So I had to get really good at that type of sales. It's like high pressured sales, but I thrived at it. Same thing with the conditions, but at least with business to business, it was a bit better because like you're going into businesses that you can guarantee that you can get into versus residential. You knock on the door, you do your pitch, either they slam the door on you or they invite you in. But with residential, I will say every Friday night, I always had a dinner cooked from one of my customers. I always had beer offered to me from one of my customers. People are so nice. And I think that that's one thing that we always kind of forget. There are some really great people in the world. So never lose sight of that. But anyways, back to business. I don't even know what I'm trying to, it was just so much fun. But anyway, so going door to door to the businesses, imagine how hard that is to try and get their attention, right? You have to have a really good product or be really charismatic. You have to make them want to talk to you, right? Their day is probably not boring, but you know, they're going through the motions. They're doing the same old thing day in and day out. Be that person that sticks out in their day that they want to talk to. That goes for any type of sales. Phone sales, cold calling, retail sales, anything. Be the person that that person wants to talk to. That's also why I did so well in retail. I had so much fun. I'd be like, oh, go try this on, throw this on it. They'd be in the change rooms. I'd come back and be like, you know what? Amanda, you should try this on with this. Like I became a stylist and I built relationships, and that's why I did so well in sales. But anyways, we're not talking about that. Back to business to business. So that did really well. Then I started teaching and training my own team while doing that, and it was crazy. By the end of it, I think I had 10? We'll say 8. I think it was 10 to, I don't know. Quite a few people under me at the time. This was years ago. But again, it's straight commission only. So in the typical fashion of a business like that, when you're recruiting and you're bringing people onto your team, not only do you have to be able to sell the product, but you also have to sell the vision of the company to those people. Because when you're working strictly on commission, 99% of people don't want to do it because they're scared, right? They want to have a guaranteed income coming in. With commission, it's up to you, right? You either believe in yourself and your own capabilities, or you're not eating that week. So you go through a lot of turnover in those types of jobs. So that's why I don't really remember how many were on my team at the time, because so many of them would stay, but also a lot of them would leave because they just weren't picking it up quick enough, and they weren't really getting paid that well because of that. But the one thing that I always used to do, because I knew how hard the job was, the typical training was 1 day with your manager, and then you were just kind of released into the world, and that didn't work. My philosophy was, okay, I'm hiring you. You are going to be by my side the entire week. I want you to see the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. And I want you to see how I overcome those objections, right? Whether it was residential or the business side, it was the same type of approach, right? And if you can copy even 30% of what I'm doing, you're gonna be successful. So I did that for a while. It was a lot of fun. But then it got to the point, because we also used to work Saturdays, guys. So the typical day was like 7 o'clock in the morning in the office. We would do meetings and huddles until roughly about 9. Then we would go out onto the field. Most of us just went for breakfast. And then we would start hitting our territories around like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Work that till about 5, go back to the office, do the huddle meetings. Management would have to stay to do some management meetings, leave by 7, home by 9 o'clock. Go to bed, repeat, and we would do that on Saturdays. Saturdays was, if you didn't hit your goal, you had an opportunity to make it up on the Saturday. I always work Saturdays because for some reason it was a gold mine. Excuse me. On the residential side, think about it. Everybody's home on a Saturday. On the business side, it still worked out. It wasn't as lucrative, but it still worked out well. But anyways, it got to the point where I was like, I'm 19 years old, 20 at the time, and I'm living the life of a 30-year-old. I'm making bank, which is great, but I'm missing out on friends. I'm missing out on going out. I'm missing out on college. I'm missing out. I just felt like there was something missing. I feel like I skipped too many steps. So I had to kind of ring it back in, and that's when I went to college. So after college, I needed a job, obviously, like most people. So I worked at like Guess, I worked at LensCrafters. I just did like a couple of things here and there for like maybe 6 months to a year type of idea. And then I applied to my very first like official marketing firm. I'm not gonna say their names because they don't need the attention, but I talked about them in my last video, the brothers, and I won't go through that all again, but fantastic. Now, what changed? I had worked the retail game, I got introduced to marketing, I got introduced to like business owners and different industries and stuff like that. Sorry, my throat's like on fire. Prime Water, not sponsored. So I started working, I almost said their name. I started working with the brothers, and the thing that was cool about that is the industry that they were going after, the industry they were targeting, was something I had no idea anything about it. It was the construction and asphalt industry. Now, the one thing about that industry is I have family members who are truck drivers, right? And that kind of blue collar type of approach, right? So I knew that I could speak to them and they would listen to me, the clients that we were going after, so I wasn't worried about that. But what I was worried about was the knowledge of the industry. So my very first month there, I taught myself everything. Now the brothers did amazing at teaching me the marketing side and what their services and all that stuff do, but I pretty much put it on myself to learn the ins and outs of the client's industry. And that is what was key to my success. By doing that, I got to a point that I knew the industry better than some of the owners. So when I came to these calls to kind of go through their business, go through their books, figure out where they're at, put a plan in place, how are we gonna do marketing, how are we gonna expose the business, I was able to talk to them at such a high level that it was a no-brainer that they would wanna work with us. It was just go, 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 and I had such a fun time. Eventually that came to an end, COVID and all that shebang, which we talked about. And I needed a job. I was on unemployment, which was very strange. Like being capable and being able to work and sitting around and doing nothing makes you depressed. You start questioning things, you start overthinking things, you don't become your best self, and I never ever want to go back to that. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But, wow, I say but a lot, eh? We should make a drinking game out of that. Every time Brandon says, but, oh my God, it's like How I Met Your Mother. Oh my God. Guys, do you know that show, How I Met Your Mother? I think it's Ted and Barney, I want to say. Every time Robin says, but the college kids like start drinking and they get completely trashed by the end of the episode. Comment down below, let's start that trend. You do what you want to do. I don't even remember what I was talking about. All I'm thinking about now is but Damn. Okay. Shit, where was I? Right, okay. So after kind of like my EI was ending, I was like, I need a job. Like I had moved out on my own with a roommate throughout COVID, and it wasn't cute that I wasn't working. I needed an income coming. I was still paying all my bills. All my bills always got paid. Never, ever have been late for paying a bill. But I just didn't feel comfortable, right? I needed a job. So I took the first thing I could get. And so weed is legal here in Canada, so I worked at a dispensary, Trees Cannabis. It was a fun place. I got to help build the store, which was really cool. It had just opened a brand new location. The district manager there at the time, I don't know if she's still there, I think she is, but larger than life. I adored her. She was so charming, so much fun. I loved her energy. She was just so much fun. I would love to work with her again if that ever happened in the future. And you know, shout out if you're watching, you were amazing with me. But yeah, working at a pot shop, that was interesting. Definitely a lot of different interesting characters. Learned a lot about marijuana and all the different stuff, and it was fun. But again, retail is not where I want it to be. Retail is not paying the bills that you have. Like for example, where I live now, I don't live anywhere fancy. I have a basic 1-bedroom apartment. I do live in Toronto, so that automatically you have a Toronto tax. But if I was working a retail job, I could never afford this place. The salary that you make as a store manager, maybe 60K, maybe. Typically it's about 50. It's hard. You have to have a partner. It's really hard, right? And that's, I guess, why I'm making this video, is just to kind of get you guys to think about the expenses and what goes in with living on your own and going to school. Like, I wouldn't even say go to school right away, because if you are not 100% certain on what you want to do when you get out of high school, why are you going to go waste money at college and university and spend all that money and then come out of school and you don't even end up using the damn degree? I know so many people, I know more people that that's happened to than people that actually went to college and university right outside of high school and that are still doing what they're doing today. So what I would recommend, and this is just personally what I did, I took a couple of years off, as I told you earlier in the video, right? Kind of figuring out some of the things that I want to do. That is okay to do. Save up money. Again, you're gonna thank yourself down the road. There is no rush. You know, Judge Judy said it in a thing that I reposted recently. It's like, hey, if you don't make it in your 20s, you can make it in your 30s. If you don't make it in your 30s, you can make it in your 40s. And that just goes like for career-wise, or, you know, whatever that end game looks like to you, right? There's no timer. Work at your own pace, get there as quickly as you want to get there. Anyways, another thing that's really good to have is, LinkedIn. When you guys start working, build a LinkedIn profile, keep that as kind of like your online resume, because one thing that I find, especially in my day-to-day world, I'm on LinkedIn every day. You're connecting with people, you are networking with people. If you are ever looking for work, you can go on LinkedIn and connect with people and potentially get jobs. LinkedIn is a great tool. I don't care if you think you're too young for LinkedIn, get a LinkedIn. As soon as you start working, get an account, put where you're working, be proud of where you're working. And then, I would add everybody that works at that company onto your LinkedIn as friends. All right, guys, well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, I just kind of wanted to get on and just talk and share some tips and tricks and just a little bit of experience of some of the things that I've gone through. If you have any questions, ask me down below. I will answer them. I love hearing from you guys. I love interacting. Like, subscribe. You can find me. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on, what else am I on? TikTok, all on Business with Brando. We're going to be ramping up TikTok quite hard coming very soon, so look for that. And then next week's video we're gonna get into a lot more fun, and like I said, it's gonna be talking all about pirates, and it's going to be good. So anyways, guys, I hope you had a fun one, and enjoy the rest of your day, and I guess this is kind of gonna be the catchphrase, but stay in business. All right, guys, take care. Bye.